Hey, everybody. As usual, giving people an opportunity to sign on. I hope you're blessed. I want you to know, man, I just got finished listening to Tasha Cobb. I'll follow you. Man, I listened to that song 3 times and I feel like running around the room. So good. Such a blessing, man. I'm just so full of joy. God touching me, you know, in the midst of life. It's just exciting. This is Travis Green, Light the Way. Got it up a little louder than it'll be in a little while. I want you to enjoy. I'm already hyped up enough. I don't need any Red Bull to get me there, but I'm gonna drink it anyway. Started to take the camera and walk you around the man cave. I'm gonna show you a few of my cards tonight, but man, it's just a fraction. They're everywhere. And I like that. Got ourselves about 3 minutes. I'm gonna scoot just for a second. I'll be right back. Okay. That wasn't long. It's just a minute. I've got some carnival incense going tonight down in the band cave. And when that goes out, by that time, my, what is it, caramel something pecan will light up. So it smells good in here. It does. I'm sorry. I'm just so, man, I'm just bubbling over. Not trying to be silly, but I might get giddy tonight. God is just good. Joy of the Lord is our strength. I wait for you guys. It's getting harder and harder in between, even though now we are doing 2 nights a week. So much to share. God constantly speaking to me. It's just been so cool. Yeah. So this went off right on time. We've got less than a minute to go. Put on the soft stuff. Oh, I thought I had that right. I don't want a commercial, man. There we go. And it's 8 o'clock. Corvette clock. Talk to me. Didn't talk to me. There we go. All right. Welcome to the Urban Apologetics channel. I am glad that you're here. We're going to discuss some good things tonight, some solid things tonight. I changed the welcome just a little bit for you. This is the Apologetics channel, where we talk about Black biblical history and great Black folks throughout history. And that's what we're going to do tonight, man. We're going to scan some stuff. It's almost like an introduction. So welcome to the Man Cave, right? The Manly Cave is a sample of my cards. I'm always talking about them, and I'm always telling you that I'm going to show you, what they look like and all of that. But this is just a fraction of my collection. So welcome. Glad you're here. We're going to talk about some good stuff. Like I said, we're going to do some feel good stuff tonight, right? Some things to be proud of. I want to share something with you before we get started that impacted my life today. I was in Sam's, and there was a young Black man, I'd say maybe late 20s, possibly 30. And he was walking with his baby. And I was just, it was like nobody else was around. The baby was in a one of those car seats that you can take the thing out of. Sorry, it's been a while for me. I don't know what the language is. But the way he was staring, you could tell the child was a newborn because of the size of this thing. And just his loving eyes on his child just really blessed me. And I knew in that moment, I said, that kid's going to be all right. That child's going to be okay. The level of love that this father has for his child's going to be okay. Already set. It just absolutely blessed me to see that. All right. Want to tell you that I'll remind you, but if you have some questions that you want to ask, you can put those down. I haven't been saying that on a regular basis, but if you have some questions that you want to ask me about Black biblical history, Black history, that kind of thing, I'd be glad to answer those questions. And if you have some suggestions for some things that you would like to learn about, I would definitely be glad to do that. So any queries that you have, please bring them forward. We'll go from there. I am your host, man, trying to make you the smartest person in the room as it pertains to this particular topic. And so tonight we're going to look at some things that, you may not have heard before. And I'm calling Wednesday night a special show, but we're here every Wednesday. I mean, every show is special to me, but, we're starting to be around every Wednesday. So want to do that, but also want to remind you, set your device in your reminder so you don't miss anything on our Monday shows, all right? And as usual, if you are watching this on the Urban Apologetics channel on YouTube, I also want you to know that we are on Jackie Jackson Facebook Live. And if you are watching this on Facebook, Jackie Jackson Facebook, we are also on YouTube on the Urban Apologetics channel. And I just simply ask that you would like and subscribe to the show. All right. Tonight's a little bit different, for sure. So I've got something I want to show you and an invitation that I would like to give.
To see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get
Now, some folks say I'm a little bit on the crazy side, but I'm just me. August 13th, we are jumping. There are several of us already. I'm trying to fill up a plane, and I want to invite you. On YouTube, as I've always told you, it's easy for these, to make this is stagnant. It's not on a timeline that's moving. So if you want to get this information, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post, after I've made the deposit and gotten everything set up, I'll post a link, and anybody that wants to join in is free to do that. So if you're as crazy as I am, we can go from there. All right. I always put this up as adult story time, but tonight's going to be a little bit different because I really don't think I'm going to say anything that's off color, but I have noticed that YouTube is already kind of marking my stuff no matter what, all right? So I'm going to go a little bit fast, in a sense, to work our way through some of the stuff that I want to show you. But what I want to do tonight, let me make this very clear. I want to walk through history. Certainly, I'll be jumping around. We can't do all of it in a night. But I want to jump through different pieces, different parts of history, show you some things, but I also want to remind you that what I'm showing you tonight, there are earlier videos, and you can go back, they have the dates on them, on YouTube, where there is both Bible and scientific evidence that backs up everything. I wouldn't say something to you that I just Googled. So there's Smithsonian, National Geographic, Penn State, Stanford, scientists that are in Europe that are reputable, peer-reviewed information. So I'm going to make some statements tonight, but I can't take the time to break it all down. But I'm telling you that I've already said these things, so you can go and find them and check out my resources. I want you to do that. Because in order to be the smartest person in the room, you have to not just know what I said, but the evidence of it you have to be convinced of it. And if you are and can defend, that's what apologetics means, a defense for. If you can defend what it is that you're saying, then it's easier for people to believe you. All right, first picture, Adam and Eve. I showed you the rivers that run into Ethiopia. I showed you what the word Adam means and what dirt means, the soil that they were created from. We talked extensively about melanin in more than one of the previous recordings. Right? In those shows, we talked about melanin. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You can't, I even sang a portion of it for you. Right? It takes melanin. Two white people can't make a black child. But a black person, unless they have a recessive gene, but a black person can make someone lighter. All right? So it had to start with black folks. And there's there's plenty of evidence around that. All right, picture number 2. This is a black man. Research that's been done, scholarly research. Again, that's all I ever show you. Scholarly research that has been done. This man was found in Europe, and they remade his likeness from his skeleton. Secure man, if I'm saying it right, was discovered in Russia. A black-skinned man is the first man in Russia. Under Adam and Eve, that is Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man was discovered in Britain, in that area, in that territory. And they date him back to the first man, a black-skinned man. All of these people migrating out of Africa, the man in the middle. Ukraine is where they discovered his body, right? Did the research, how much melanin he has, looking at his DNA, all of that. The man on the far right, again, we're talking about Europe. Now, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I want to show it to you. First Europeans were black, and I'm going to talk about that even more tonight as we move towards the modern era. But understand, like that picture that's right there in the middle, that's an American rendition I don't want to get too much into this tonight because I want to make sure that we are as positive as we possibly can and we're celebrating these great people. But this is somebody trying to make them white anyway, which DNA evidence does not support that. This is representing Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we have previously been taught that Shem was, lighter skin or high yellow or something like that. And that Ham was black. And that Japheth was white. Now, it is possible for Noah to have been, as a black man, to have done that. But because of the people and the DNA evidence and the folks that are being found in Europe, the earliest people that they can find, then they couldn't have been. They had to all be black. Now, there's more evidence than that, but that should be enough. The Bible and science are agreeing. And that's exciting to me, that the Bible and science agree. That these people, they weren't white. They were black. All right? When you go back and you think about somebody like Adam, you realize that, Adam as a black man was the one that when God rested on the seventh day, he left a black man in charge. Right? When God rested on the seventh day, he left a black man in charge. The sons of Ham, Cush, Ethiopia, Mizraim, Egypt. These names change as Greeks and others come into those territories. Phut or Put becomes Libya. Canaan or Canaan land is the land that the Jews will eventually go into, and we'll deal with some of that in just a second. But these people spread out. We know the first Egyptians were black because this is the first generation of Ham. Black folks. And all the DNA and the science agree with that, which is exciting to us. The first king that ever walked the face of the earth was Nimrod. And as I've said before, you got to take the good with the bad, but Nimrod was a black man. He's a descendant. Ham was his grandfather. We're not talking about generation after, So we know that we know that the Egyptians, that these are black folks moving forward. This is a picture of Absalom. Shout out to James C. Lewis. These photographs that he had, and I have many of them. You'll see another one in just a moment. These photographs, his depictions, they're just so wonderful. What is important for us to understand, and one of the things that I've been trying to teach you, is that when you understand the Table of Nations, when you understand who's black and who's not. The names start jumping off the page. You start seeing them through scripture, Tyre and Sidon, Nineveh, these various places. You start seeing these names and you realize after looking at Genesis chapter 10, verses 6 through 20 of those folks, you realize that these people are black-skinned people. All right? When you start looking at the descendants of Shem, you start seeing this mixing that begins to occur on a regular basis. See, when Israel goes into Canaan land, they don't destroy everybody. They're just dealing with the pagan worship that's going on. That's what God sends them in for. They don't destroy everybody. And there's this mixing that goes on. Judah, the tribe of Judah that Jesus would come through. I'm ahead of myself a little bit, but maybe I'll say it twice. Judah, the tribe of Judah that Jesus will come through. The two sons that he has that are in the line of Jesus, which is mentioned in Matthew chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, those two sons are from a Canaanite woman. So when we look at the genealogy of Jesus, we can already prove of his dark skin, brown skin, black skinned heritage. It's not hard. Once you know what you're looking at, it's not difficult. And when you trace it, when you trace him, then you understand that Jesus was definitely a person of color. Afro-Asiatic, however however you've heard that, a person of color, and the Bible describes his hair. The Bible describes his skin. And Revelation also describes God's skin, but we're not going to deal with that tonight. But isn't that exciting to know? And some of you say, well, what difference does it make? It made a difference to somebody. They decided to make him a totally different race. And these heroes that we have in the Bible, they decided to make them. I've seen stuff where Canaanites have been made white. They weren't. We were there in the biblical narrative, making a difference. And there are places in the Bible where God describes us, and he always describes our skin in a very positive light. The word maratz I've given to you before. The Hebrew word maratz means polished to perfection. When he describes honesty, right? Leopard can't change his spots. When he's talking about honesty, he uses a black man, a black Ethiopian as an example. Just an absolute blessing when you know what you're looking at. This is an Etruscan king. There is a gnat loose in here. I apologize, but I don't like. Well, that's the end of that. Never mind. All right. The Etruscans, are you listening? They were the first people, and they were black, to occupy Italy. I don't know if this shows. Yeah. You can use that information, just that little bit right there. You can look this up for yourself, but you can put in the Etruscans, black people, something like that, and it will explain to you the first people in Italy were black. So here's a whole nother angle showing you the exact same thing that I'm saying you, that telling you that black people were in Europe first. Why? Because everybody was black. There were no white people yet. They're coming. There's less sun, less opportunity, need for melanin. But they still need the vitamin D in order to strengthen their immune system. And I gave you a whole article in research. I believe it was Penn State that did it, or Stanford. Can't remember right now. But it's in the video explaining, one of the earlier videos explaining clearly that they started off, and in many of these cases, they start off looking for one thing. Right? When did man develop the ability, other than breast milk, to digest the milk of animals in order to get vitamin D? When did man develop that? And as they did that and started tracing back, they found a black man. When there was research done, I believe it was Smithsonian, when they were trying to discover who's Mother Eve. Who was the first woman? How far back can we go? Because they were trying to study gestation periods and other things like that, trying to get an understanding, and ran smack into Africa and the black woman. And Henry Louis Gates actually did some research on that. And the woman that was the girlfriend in Black Panther, they were able to trace her DNA back to the beginning, back to this Mother Eve, back to Africa, back to the first woman. It's exciting stuff to realize the connections. Oh, I ain't done yet. Look this man up. Originally, he was born in Libya. He's an African and became a Caesar, an emperor of Rome. Dates are there. Check it out. It's just an absolute blessing. Of course, and I don't want to harp on this tonight. Of course, many of these things have been buried in history. And that's very unfortunate. But we're writing, R-I-G-H-T, we're writing the story tonight. Right? And these are things that can be proved. We just haven't known that we needed to look because we thought or believed what we had heard. Mary was a black woman. Mary's grandfather named Heli, H-E-L-I. We have information on him. I don't even know. I don't have the book down here. Wasn't planning on showing it to you. But there's information on this man. Now, we have that, but we also have the genealogy of Jesus. As I said, Matthew 1, chapter 1, very first chapter, verses 1 through 5. You look down through those and you trace those people, you're going to find black, especially the women. You with me tonight? So then it's easy to answer the question, even though I'm going to do a whole series on this. After we've done a recap from Eden forward, and that's on Monday nights, not tonight. After we've done a recap, I'm going to spend some time showing you, talking about Jesus, talking about the disciples, showing you somebody from that time and their writings that didn't have anything to do with race. For them, they are just describing what group they're from, like what tribe they're from. The word race was put together during slavery anyway. Let me make sure I throw that in there. And he describes them as Cushites. He describes them as being black. He said no harm has been done to the name of Cush. At the time that he's writing this, he's basically letting us know these folks are black. Now, this Josephus is living around AD 70 when, oh my goodness, I don't want to get off on this tangent, but I'm here now. AD 70, when Jesus had predicted in Matthew 24 that the temple was going to be destroyed, in AD 70, Josephus was there. And he is writing about the people that are leaving Jerusalem after the temple is destroyed and all the things that Jesus said were going to happen. He's saying that these are black people. That's why Yasser said they left here black. 1948, they came back white. It's in the other videos. But think about it. Think about your connection. I mean, it should be a blessing to everybody to change the mentality, change our thinking. We should feel proud. I know I do. I'm excited that I'm connected. It doesn't make me better than anybody else, but it sure makes me connected. Got a variety of religious groups trying to call Christianity the white man's religion. No, you're getting robbed twice. You got robbed when the original color of their skin, and we're the only religion that has ever done that. And that's in some earlier videos too. I explain who did it, how they did it, at least in brief, and I show you some literature, several books where you can look it up in more detail. We're the only religion where the color of the people was changed. So if you reject, if you buy into the lie and reject Jesus when you don't have to, It's like being duped twice. This is an early rendering of John Mark, the book of Mark. There are pictures and portraits in Europe that depict Jesus as a black man, especially in Russia, right? Because Napoleon, who was destroying all this stuff, he never made it up into Russia. War and Peace. And they didn't have a dog in the fight. So for the most part, they just left it alone. What? How did that get in there? It was me and my baby Saturday night. We had a great time. Man, oh man, oh man. It is something else to have a woman look like that, put her hand on your shoulder. Praise God for her. All right, I want to remind you, getting ready to segue into something else. If you have some ideas, some things that you would like to learn about, I already have a schedule of some things that I'm going to be doing, but I will do my best to make sure that I include some things for you. All right, let's go into our next section here. Still with me? All right. First picture. Now, I'm finishing the bloodline piece, so I'm not kind of jumping back and forth here. I just want to make sure that I finish this bloodline piece before I move on. That first picture is a Falasha Jew or Ethiopian Jew, or Beta Israel, they call themselves. And they still live, for the most part, in Ethiopia and have been worshiping in the Jewish fashion for who knows how long. And they are now migrating, not being treated well, but they're migrating to Israel. Obviously, this man is black, and so are the rest of them. Ethiopia. The man on the right is a group of people called the Limba tribe. They were discovered by a man by the name of Tudor Parfit from England. They did DNA testing on these people. Now, there's some other groups too. Let's focus on the Limba. They did DNA testing on this group and found them to be pure blood Jew. As a matter of fact, the specific Y chromosome that they have, some of them have the DNA that dates back to Aaron, meaning the priesthood. Man, you can't make this stuff up. You talk about what gets buried in history, but this is exciting. That science and the Bible are in agreement. Science and the Bible are on the same page. Proof. And these folks are living today. You understand? I'm not talking about somebody that lived 2,000 years ago and we found this black body and we proved that that they're Jewish and all that kind of stuff. That would be exciting. But these folks are living. Picture under me. Black royalty. Guess where that is? Europe. I've got a picture of, now, I don't follow tabloids too well. I'm a historian. Meghan Markle. I hope I said that right. I have a picture of her next to a princess, a European princess, and they look like they could be sisters, which moves towards the very queen they have today. All right, nothing in particular I want to talk about with the picture in the middle, but the picture on the bottom right. The Black Moors, the Muslim Black Moors, during what Europeans call the Dark Ages, or the Middle Ages. We have to understand the rest of the world was moving on. Everybody didn't go through the Dark Ages. During that time, let me say it real fast, during that time, most people, even kings, did not go beyond a 20-mile radius of the spot they were born. Here's the Renaissance. Black Moors brought clothing, music, art, architecture. They brought those things across Europe. Europe came out of it because they weren't going anywhere. They weren't like somebody woke up one day. Somebody had to show them the way, and it was these Black Moors. That's why Europe had a renaissance of music and other things like that. And some of those very folks that made music and art and all of that, it's hidden, but they were black. I'll get to it. I'm going to deal with that entire era. But it's important for you to know that. Just some other pictures I want you to see real quick of royalty and all of that. Now, we're going to leap forward to the 1800s, I believe it is. Watch this video and we'll talk on the other side. Isn't that a blessing? I mean, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, many other great things that Black people have done. I've never questioned Black intelligence as if God would make one group smarter than another. That's all propaganda. We descend from the progenitors, from the founders of civilization. in one of the videos, I showed where there were Africans that were coming to America. We've got evidence in Colorado. We've got the Olmec heads. We've got Columbus himself with his mass murdering self. We've got Columbus who wrote that Africans had come. We have DNA evidence from scientists in France where they did discoveries and found cocaine and tobacco in mummies. And the only place to have gotten that from was Brazil. And I recently made discoveries that the indigenous people that Columbus mistakenly called Indians, but we'll just stick with that. The Indians were actually traveling to Africa as well. So trade was going back and forth, and there's documentation to support that. Might not be in any. That's why I don't want that stuff taught in schools. Not the truth. Not about what you just saw on that video. No. No, imagine how far the world would be if all of the gifts and talents of everybody that's here was utilized and we all walked in harmony as God planned. Frederick Douglass is on the screen. Now, Frederick Douglass is my hero. He is my favorite earthly character. I've been to his house. I've got books on Frederick. Matter of fact, just bought one. Things about this thick. On Frederick, and some of it's, I got repeat stuff on Frederick Douglass. What a man. I mean, you think about it. I mean, he used to work in shipyards, and because he was staying with a wealthy owner, he would give food to young white boys that were working on the shipyard as well, so that they would teach him how to read. And if you want to hear language that is beyond, I mean, you almost have to sit there with a dictionary when this man speaks. But read his speech from the 4th of July, his Independence Day speech. Read that speech. Just a magnificent mind. Fought for the slaves to be free, fought for as an abolitionist, did speaking under the threat of his life, fought for the right of soldiers to fight for their own freedom in the Civil War, fought for us to be put on the ballot. That's why we got the right to vote February 3rd, 1870. But listen to this. Here's a nugget that most people don't know. In 1868, 3 years after the Civil War, there was talk of putting Frederick Douglass on the presidential ticket as a vice president. That early, because of who this man was. I mean, the more I read and learn about our people. And see, Frederick Douglass, listen, he was a Christian. Sojourner Truth was a Christian. Harriet Tubman was a Christian. Oh, and let me throw this in. Next week, I'm doing this whole segment is going to be on Black women. We're going to talk about their involvement and their accomplishments. Still with me? Still with me? It's not what I was planning to do. Sorry about that. Let me get her back up. Sorry, Miss Lady. This is what I was planning to do. There we go. There were lynchings that were going on. Her friends were actually lynched. And for years, I had no idea who she was, what she had done, no connection whatsoever. And we're going to discuss this great woman next week. I'm going to spend some more time there. I'm going to let that be a mystery for you. What a great blessing she has been to all of us. It took 200 tries for the lynching law, a lynching law to finally get passed, which was what, April 22nd or something like that, 2022? April something, 2022. But I got to hurry to the close. Because Mikia Corbett, if her name was out there like it should be, I think fewer Black people would be concerned about taking the vaccine because they would realize this.
My name is Kizmikia Corbett, and I lead a team of scientists who created a life-saving COVID-19 vaccine. I'm from southern rural North Carolina, in a very small town. When I was 16 years old, I knew that I wanted to do science. I felt like I really loved the scientific process.
Corbett studied immunology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and later went to work at the National Institutes of Health Vaccine Research Center. In 2014, she began working with SARS and MERS, both coronaviruses, long before the term became commonplace.
We work on spike proteins, which are surface proteins on the coronavirus. The spike protein is like a key, and if you think about your cell as a lock, the spike protein allows for the virus to get inside by unlocking the cell.
Within a few years, Corbett's team was able to deconstruct the spike protein, discovering how scientists could use it to potentially design vaccines against coronaviruses. But back then, no one could anticipate the global impact this discovery would have.
When we got back to the lab and we decided what we would do, we basically were saying that if it turned out to be a coronavirus, that we knew what to do, and so we would just go for it.
As COVID-19 infections surged worldwide, Corbett's team at the NIH partnered with Moderna to begin work on a vaccine, a feat that might have taken years. But using Corbett's spike protein research, the team brought a working vaccine to clinical trials in just 66 days. By giving your body the instructions to build and recognize the spike protein, the vaccine prepares your immune system to fight the real virus if it's faced with a future infection. Today, their vaccine is reaching millions worldwide, an achievement Corbett finds surreal so early in her career.
It would have been a dream to retire this way. One could consider it like a mic drop.
But at 35, she's already looking ahead, beyond the pandemic, to what opportunity lies in the decades to come.
The universe provides endless inquiries. Every day is a new day. New experiments, new work to do. At this point in my career, there's all sorts of twists and turns. I wake up and things change by the minute.
So next week, we're going to talk about other Black women. I might bring some other stuff in about her. But do you agree with me that more people would be willing to take the... I mean, here we are in this this modern era. I was speaking Saturday. Sorry, thoughts are a little scrambled to make my point. So much going on at the same time with what I want to tell you. Saturday, I was talking to a person who graduated from Yale and Harvard, and he had no idea about what you just saw. No idea. This great woman at a young age who started working on the coronavirus, long before we had a pandemic. And some people ask, how'd they come up with a vaccine so fast and all of that kind of stuff, right? Because they don't know that there was a scientist, a wonderful black woman, an intelligent black woman, a well-educated black woman that had been working on it for a long time. Now, to be fair, she was on CNN and did a town hall, but I think she should have been so out front that at least that segment of the population would have had less fear had they known that someone that looked like them created the virus. The vaccine, I'm sorry. Oh, well, I'm done for tonight. Listen, we're going to talk about Sojourner Truth, the women next week. We're going to talk about Harriet Tubman. We're going to look at some modern women in addition to Kizzmekia Corbett. And I know I tried to stump you or whatever, but we're going to talk about Ida B. Wells more. We're going to get into these things, and we're going to discuss these people and the great things that we should be so proud to be a part of. People, I mean, we have such a rich heritage, and we've got to bring that out so we can feel good about who we are and so that we can believe that all things are possible because people just like us have done great things. And the week after that, we're going to take a look at CEOs, black executives. All right? Listen, I'm Pastor Jackie Jackson. That's my message for tonight. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.